Hey, what's going on, everyone? Tim Williams here, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk a little NBA DFS. We have 4 games to break down. NBA DFS is definitely a sport I enjoy playing. It is very challenging. It's definitely difficult, but I've been having a little bit of more success in the NBA DFS streets in like the last month or so on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So I kind of want to just like talk about a little bit like what I'm looking for and a little bit of my process, and maybe it'll kind of help you guys. And if that's something that you like, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and maybe I'll be making more of these videos to come and just kind of talk a little strategy, or we can kind of look together and try to find the pricing and efficiencies that I think are the main key to NBA DFS besides the late swap, and being glued to your phone or your computer for the rest of your night if you're playing. But yeah, if that sounds good to you, drop a comment below. Like I want to hear from you. I definitely want to talk. Hit me up on Twitter, Tim Williams DFS, and yeah, let's try do some breakdown. So let's talk about this first game here. We have the Knicks taking on Cleveland, and Cleveland looks to be the favorite here. Kind of a neat little tool if you're like if you have roto grinders or you subscribe to roto grinders. Taking on the Knicks, the lowest total on the slate. This game to me, any Knicks game really in general is not really something I'm really too excited about as far as rostering and DFS, etc. However, there are some, key injuries on both of these teams that we'll kind of go over here. So first, I like to look at, the injury news. Who's going to be filling in where? Where are these minutes going to be going? What are some of these, the pricing on some of these high usage guys, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk a little bit about the Knicks first. And one of the key pieces of news here is obviously we know Derrick Rose is out, right? Kemba Walker is questionable. Somebody that's going to be filling in, obviously it's going to be Alec Burks. Burks right now sitting at $7,100 on DraftKings. To me, I feel like that price is a little bit high. Yes, I know the minutes are going to be there. And yes, the minutes are everything. He played 30 minutes yesterday, so we did see a little bit of a boost yesterday. However, just not a totally, I'm not totally confident in his fantasy production. 24 points yesterday, 21 before that. We've seen he can go out for 17 minutes and put up 4. Sometimes he can go out for 36 and put up 41. So a little bit of inconsistency. At 7,100, it's not really somebody I'm going to be looking toward rostering, maybe in like GPPs, right? Some of those big contests, but a guy that I don't mind who is probably going to be getting some minutes here would be a guy like Quickly. I already have him in my lineup here. So because at $4,400, he's kind of offering you, he doesn't have to like really go crazy to pay off that price tag. It allows you to pay up for other guys that are going to be on the slate because you just know there's going to be some, shenanigans going on where somebody's going to be out last minute. Rudy Gobert can't play because he's questionable, et cetera, et cetera. But, if he can get 20 minutes and get you over 20 to 25 DraftKings points at that price, I really don't mind. I think he has some upside there. So I really don't mind Quickly here as far as, this 7 p.m. game. Some of the other guys on the Knicks, Barrett at $7,600, I think is fine. I think it's fair. This could be, if you think this is going to be a competitive game and you have conviction on, I think RJ Barrett's going to go off tonight. He went off yesterday, 59 fantasy points there, but he does have somewhat of a low floor, mid 20s fantasy points there. So I'm not really too sold on him at $7,600. I think we have way better pay up options on the slate, some team totals that are way higher than this one. So that's one big injury news for the Knicks. You have Fournier at 5,700. I'm kind of scouting out where some of these pricing inefficiencies are. Don't really care for Fournier at that price. Cam Reddish made his debut a little bit yesterday. He played 5 minutes at 4,600. It could be an interesting GPP dart throw, but I just think there's too many guys, on this Knicks team, even though there's some injuries. So even, maybe with Reddish being back, maybe that kind of takes us off quickly. That could be interesting. And then, I obviously have Randall to pay up for at $9,700. He's kind of, consistently in that 30 to 40 range, right? You'd love to see some more 50 pieces out of him, but it just doesn't seem to be happening frequently or as frequent. I think it's going to be kind of a challenging game for him to pay off that $9,700 price tag. The other big injury here is Mitchell Robinson is questionable here at 6K. Not that I have any interest in him, but if he is out, Noel is probably going to pick up the start at $4,200. Is he great? No. Is he going to get more than the 25 minutes? Probably not. But $4,200 is not the worst thing in the world. Taj Gibson, min price, not too interested there. There's just some value on this slate we'll talk about. On the Cleveland side, I don't think there's any too many major injuries here. I think the biggest one would be Markkanen is out officially. He had an x-ray on his hand coming back, or on his ankle coming back negative, but at least he'll be out in this game. Cleveland's just one of those guys too, or teams that Markkanen's out. They have guys like Okoro who can kind of step in. He starts kind of anyway. Not really a great fantasy point per minute kind of guy anyway. Osman, I think Dean Wade's probably going to pick up the start. Kevin Love obviously is an option. He definitely has a floor. So I just don't love this team all that much. The guys I want to pay up for would be like Garland at 9.3. He's just been kind of chucking the ball. And it seems like his floor as of late, at least in the last week or so, has been about 40 fantasy points, but 9,300 is kind of a tough pill to swallow against a slow-paced Knicks team. So I don't really love anybody in the guard position there. Shooting forward, it's going to be kind of a whole mess of guys like Osman. If he picks up the start, could he be viable? I don't know. He's got really, really low floor, but the price is nice. But yeah, I guess maybe the only two guys I really like on this Cleveland team would be Allen and Mobley respectively, but probably prefer Mobley here because of the position flexibility. So other than that, probably just a big fade on that one. Chicago is a big, has some injury news here. Obviously, we know Lonzo Ball is going to be out. Kobe White is going to be taking probably his place. And has been, but at 7K, that seems a little pricey. It seems like his ceiling kind of sits at about 30, 33, and his price has gone up. So I don't really love that. So I'm kind of off of Kobe White. AO is, his price has kind of come up too at $6,500. Don't really love that. Obviously, I love the minutes here. Last 5 games, he's 40 minutes, 39, 39, 38, 40. But it's very inconsistent. He went on a very nice hot streak there for 3 games and then just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So I just don't have a ton of interest at that price, right? Remember, we're looking for pricing inefficiencies. These guys are priced up too much. Yes, they're going to get the minutes. Can they get there? Yeah, sure. But I'm just not going to overpay for something that just isn't all that safe, right? Shooting guard, Zach LaVine might play. If he's definitely in, I don't want anything to do with AO or anything like that. And then going to point forward here and center. So Vooch and DeRozan, 2 guys I'm very interested on the Bulls here. This is a second game of a back-to-back. Vooch didn't really have that great of a game, went 4 for 19 his last game out yesterday, 33 fantasy points there, did have a double-double, which is nice. But he is questionable right now. So keep an eye on that. At $9,500, I think that's just a hard pass, even if he does play. Either way, I'm interested in DeRozan at 9,100. Yes, it's kind of pricey, but I think he's one of the clear best spend ups on the slate. Even if Zach LaVine is back, I think he'll still get maybe 35 to 38 minutes or whatever, and has a ceiling of 50 plus fantasy points here. So kind of one of my preferred spend ups here. I really don't mind him at all. Other than that, that's kind of it for the Bulls. OKC, talk about some of these guys here. SGA obviously in play, I think at 9K. I think he's been having, quite some good ceiling games as of late this past week. This team, if they do good, he needs to do good. So I like him a lot. Giddey at 7,300, I don't really particularly love. I think he kind of offers a relatively safe floor, but I just don't think the upside is always consistently there for that price at $7,300. So SGA is kind of interesting. I don't know why guys keep playing Lou Dort at 5,200. Once in a while he gets 30 points, but seems like it's once every 8 weeks or something like that. But a guy I don't mind here off the bench, Kendrick Williams, 3,800. I think he's a fine value play, especially if you're, multi-entering. I think he should definitely be in your player pool. The last 2 games he's been back. 16 minutes, 25 minutes, 19 and 20 fantasy points respectively. So I think that's just a fine, GPP filler for sure. Guys have been playing Wiggins at 3,700, but he's kind of, been very inconsistent himself. Not really a guy I'm totally interested in. I prefer Williams there. Baisley 4,400, just kind of like really not somebody I'm looking to. OKC just in general. James Robinson, Earl, Roby, like these guys are cheap for a reason. I don't really love a lot of it. So it's either, I'm kind of paying up at the point guard position with SGA, or I'm just kind of maybe not so on the OKC Thunder, maybe Williams there. But these last two games are, I think, the bread and butter for this particular slate here. Indianapolis, the underdogs here against New Orleans. Levert here is questionable. We know that Brogdon is out probably for another 8 days or so. If Levert misses, first of all, Levert is $8,700, which is like kind of expensive, but he's been paying off that price tag a little bit. I don't no disrespect to him. He's playing his ass off. 45 points in 27 minutes there. So just keep an eye on that injury news. That could be, potential spend up. He's going to have to do a lot more now that, with Brogdon out, and we know that Sabonis is out. So Levert, if he's playing, I think he could be in your player pool mix here, but not really interested in anyone else. I think Skies see some more time if Levert misses here, but just not really a good fantasy producer there. The one guy I would be interested in if Levert is out would be Duarte. $6,400. I think that's, kind of creeping up to like where I don't really feel comfortable paying for him. But, he obviously has some upside. He's going to play minutes if Karis LeVert is out. So somewhat interested there. Lamb is getting some time, 28 minutes last game, 29 at 4K. I think that's a very reasonable value if LeVert misses. So don't mind that. Sabonis being out, we're getting a lot of Goga time. So Goga at 6,200 is kind of pricey here. Very consistent the last two games, 33, 35 points there. Very good fantasy point per minute producer. Just you are paying for it, right? 6,200 is kind of pricey, but he offers a relatively safe floor. Like he's going to get minutes. So some interest there. And then on the other side with the New Orleans Pelicans, we have Graham, who is questionable at the moment. Looks like he's got a little bit of left ankle soreness. Just not a very, not a great, fantasy per minute producer, but if he misses, it kind of opens the door up for Alexander Walker and Alvarado. So that could be an interesting play here. 20 minutes last time out, 27 points there. But it's a case of like, who's going to be more owned, right? I think a lot of ownership is going to go to Alexander Walker. These guys are just too cheap, right? So two guys to keep kind of an eye out on there. Ingram is out. That is pretty significant news there. So guys like Hart are going to get a big bump. I really like him. However, his price has gone up a lot. Another guy I really like here is Herbert Jones. Very consistent. He's going to see probably 30 minutes roughly with Ingram being out. He has shown some upside there. So at 4,700, I think he is a decent spend right there. And then is there anybody else that's out on this team that I can think of? Graham and Ingram are the big ones there. Temple, I guess, could be in play, but just 3,100. Not a ton of interest there. He's just kind of out there to run laps, I think, at this point. On the other side, actually, we'll talk about this last game here. Utah and Phoenix. Big favorites here. They have some injuries too, so some of these guys have to play. I think you're going to see some bigger minutes from Chris Paul. You have Cam Payne, who is going to, I think, likely miss this one. Let's just double check. Yeah, Payne is out. So let's talk about Phoenix here, right? Let's talk about the guys who are favorited here at home. Booker 9,400. I think that's just too expensive, right? The other day he did drop 70 points there, but I think you're looking at 30 to 40 fantasy points there. Not going to pay that price tag off. So I am off of him. Could be an interesting, GPP type of play. But I'm just finding more success not paying up for guys and kind of finding the price inefficiencies. So Chris Paul, 8,600, his price comes up. I think that's still too cheap or kind of priced where he should be at. Probably going to see that upper 30s minutes there. Played 41 minutes last game, 54, 51 his last two, 45 the game before that. So I really like him there. We all know what he can do. Ayton, big news, is probably doubtful actually, so he might not play. That opens up the door for some of these other guys who are kind of priced in the 5K range. McGee typically is the guy who gets a ton of ownership, and I think he's always going over owned. He did smash last game, 35 points in 18 minutes. So he does have that upside. His price has come up a little bit, but games before that, he's kind of playing just under about 20 minutes there and just really hasn't really shown that ceiling. He's kind of showing you a little bit more floor. But the guy I like, and the guy I played last time, Biyombo, they brought him in, they signed him for the rest of the year. He played 30 minutes last time, 28, 25. He's just consistently getting minutes off the bench. If Ayton misses, his price did come up, unfortunately, at 5,300, but he has 51 point upside. Apparently, he's dropped, 39 here, 18 points and 28 against Dallas. Not great there, but I think he does have some upside there. However, his price has come up accordingly. It's kind of an ownership play. If he's going to be more under owned, then I would definitely, be on Bismack. But if he's going to be over owned, I'll probably just maybe pay up somewhere else for my center spot, because, there are paths to him failing as well. And this all is dependent on if Ayton misses, obviously, but other guys, I think Cam Johnson probably ends up getting the start from what I understand. 25 minutes his last game out, only 15 fantasy points there. So another ownership type play. Remember, they are playing Utah. Utah is down a bunch of guys as well. We'll talk about it, but Utah, very, very good defensive team. So I might just look to pay up for some of these Phoenix guys and avoid some of the chalky cheapness and maybe try to, target some of this Indy and New Orleans or some of the Chicago guys possibly. So we'll see. But on that Utah side, DraftKings did a pretty good job kind of pricing all of this value up. Gobert is questionable currently at the moment with a left calf strain. So that's something to keep an eye out for. If he is in, I think he could be an interesting spend up here for sure at 9,200. He's having a phenomenal season. Mitchell is out. We know that for sure. So that makes guys like Connolly, available for extra minutes, but we never really goes too much over 30 anyways. And at 7,200, I just don't have a ton of interest. The big thing here is Connolly actually might miss this game because of a back-to-back. So if he is out, I definitely have some interest in Clarkson. Clarkson's price, however, is up to $6,700, and he's just been kind of not great this past, week or so with all these injuries, and he's getting all this. He's supposed to be getting more playing time. He just really hasn't, kind of still sitting in that similar role he's kind of already had. So I don't have a ton of interest there. Let's look at some of these other guys. Bogdan might miss here, bruised right knee here. So if he misses, that opens up a lot of other minutes. I think Ingles is going to start regardless, but his price comes up to 5K, and it's what's the ceiling you're going to get out of him for 5K? Like, I'd rather pivot and go to a guy like Herbert Jones. Forrest might see some time here from what I can see, 18, 19 minutes there. He's at the flat minimum. So he seems like a guy that, whatever, if everyone's going to take him, he's a free square. Rudy Gay, 4,200. I think he's somewhat in play only if Rudy Gobert misses here. Also, Whiteside is questionable. If Whiteside's in, he looks like he's in a pretty good spot here at 51 points his last time out. So he can crush it. So yeah, didn't play yesterday, but yeah, Whiteside if Gobert is out. And then some of these other values, I just don't think I'm going to really get to. Forrest is kind of interesting, depending on how many minutes he's going to play. He's at the flat minimum. So if he plays 20 minutes, that's a win. So I think that'll do it. I think I kind of laid out what I'm kind of looking for. This is my first time kind of breaking down NBA this season. So yeah, sorry if it's a little bit, choppy or whatever, but I think the point is that I'm looking for injury news, who's going to fill in, where those minutes going to go. And then what are the pricing inefficiencies? Obviously there's some guys out on Utah, for example. those guys are going to get extra minutes, but those guys are priced up maybe to a point where I'm a little uncomfortable rostering. So I might look elsewhere as far as, and kind of keep an eye on like where the ownership lies. So that is it. That'll do it. Best of luck to you. Make sure to hit that like button. Comment if this helped, if this sucked. Let me know. Let me know what's up. Let me know what you want to hear. Peace out.